One last thing we can investigate is, well, okay, we've got our scatter plots. We are investigating 2 dimensions at a time. What if we wanted to add another dimension to our scatter analysis? So here you can see we have our age scatter, and we were looking at these different bands and saw, well, we pretty much have 3 unique bands of data points. 1 down at the bottom that's very dense, and then 2 more in the middle that are a little bit less dense. So what could they mean? And this is a place where maybe exploring some additional dimensions may be helpful. So what if we were to bring in sex into our legend? So here we can see we bring in male and female in, and the colors change. So I now have a male set of data points listed in the kind of the purplish red, and female in blue. Now the next thing I can do is, once I've done that, I can also, I've got the trend line. So I can take that trend line, which right now is based on the entire population, and tell it not to combine the series and give me a separate trend line for each line. You can see I end up getting 2 trend lines that are pretty close to each other and have more or less the same type of slope. All right, so we explored sex. That didn't seem to do much for us. Let's see what happens if we instead explore smoker. So I'll bring smoker. Well, first I'll go back to my fields, and I'll bring smoker into my legend. And now, since I still tell it not to combine my trend lines, I can see, whoa, now I've got smokers, yes, up there in the reddish purple, non-smokers down there in blue, and the trend lines have diverged dramatically. The non-smoker trend line now more or less mirrors the upper edge of that thick cluster of data points down at the bottom, where the smoker is up there in between the 2 taller ones. So we can see we do have some non-smokers in that middle band of information, but almost everybody up in the top band, as a matter of fact, every data point except for, it looks like 1 above the top trend line is a smoker. So the smoker trend line, only 1 non-smoker goes above the smoker trend line, and none of the smokers end up going below the non-smoker trend line. All right. So that gives us a little bit more explanatory power for our scatter diagram and adds another dimension. What about if we look at BMI? We can do the same thing again with BMI. I've got my trend line on. Let's add sex to the legend. Okay, and I end up, the 2 trend lines are fairly similar, a little bit different. They cross, but I don't know that that's going to be something very interesting to explore further. Now I bring in smoker, and yeah, there's a huge difference. Now I've got a big positive slope on the smoker data points, which are almost all up there toward the upper region, and the non-smoker data points are mostly clustered down there in the lower half, below 10,000, with a few scattered above. So, that could be some other medical cause that's not smoking related that is driving up those particular costs. But on the whole, smokers definitely look like they have a more costly trend line, especially as they age. All right, so that's it for this video. Basically, just wanted to give you the opportunity to investigate your data sets using an additional dimension in your view.